a vague sense of what you believe in and no way to really communicate it to your children, that's where most parents are at. And that's probably where you were at 4 days ago at the start of this challenge. This is the 5th day of the 5-day reset challenge, where we're resetting our family. We're gaining confidence and clarity and writing out the 5 rules, the 5 overarching principles that our family is going to live by for decades to come. So if you followed along with this challenge, huge congratulations, because you are no longer most parents who are winging it, who are parenting by the seat of their pants, who are just automatically reacting and putting out fires. No, you now have a premeditated, deeply thought up version of your goals, your beliefs, your principles, your values. And that was thought up by the calm, concentrated, best version of yourself. And that's what makes it so great. Today, you have your 5 rules. And if you're just joining me here and you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to videos 1, 2, 3, and 4 and make sure that you too have the 5 family rules that every family needs. But here's what I know from working with thousands of families from over 92 countries around the world over the course of more than a decade. This is exactly the point where most people stop. They write the rules, they do the homework, they get a hit, they feel great, and 6 weeks later, it's like it never happened. We all fall back to our habits. But today, we're gonna make sure that that does not happen to you. Let's talk about why rules slide, why we forget these core key mantras that we live by, and why we yet again find ourselves flabbergasted, flustered, and hesitant about enforcing clarity and guidance for our children. It is not that you lack willpower. It is not that there is something wrong with your kids. It is not that the rules were wrong and they're just not working. Instead, it's that rules die when they are announced but never truly launched. There's a difference between telling your family that you have these 5 rules and actually initiating them into it and establishing it as habit. So today is going to be about your launch strategy. So let's talk about 3 things that can make these rules stick. Number 1, the physical anchor. These 5 rules need to live somewhere visible. Maybe it's the fridge or the hallway or a family wall or a gallery that you have. And in your PDF guide, I've given you templates of how you can make these beautiful, something that you would want to hang up in your home. You can even put them as your phone screensaver. Why do you have to go to the trouble of making it beautiful or printing it out? Not because your kids have to stand there and read it out every morning, but because you need to make it visible to keep it top of mind for you. This is what we call a psychological primer. It's there pinging you and reminding you that this is what you're striving for, that these are your guiding principles. And you can point to it and it can be a reminder to you in the time of conflict. When you're getting triggered and you're about to lose it, you can fall back on the printed version or on your phone background to help guide you and remind you what you stand for. You get to say, hey, what's rule number 3? Instead of, I've told you 1,000 times. That feels much better. Having things physically visible depersonalizes the enforcement. It's not just about a power struggle between you and them. You don't just keep saying things. It's right there, printed in black and white. So it's not you versus them, it's just the standard. Make it beautiful if that's your thing. It certainly is mine. Design it, frame it, own it. Number 2, the family meeting. Once you have your physical rules, or even if you skip that stage, it would be worthwhile to have a family meeting where it's not just a unilateral announcement, but rather an initiation. Now, if you have very small kids, this isn't going to be relevant, but you can apply it between you and your partner. You can talk about these things with your spouse and make sure that you're both aligned and that you like the way this feels and looks. You could gather everyone and you can include the young kids with older kids if you have older kids too. And you frame the conversation as in, we've been thinking about who we want to be as a family. Then you could read each sentence or have your children take turns reading the sentences if they're old enough and ask each child what they think those sentences mean. Can they come up with any examples? Does this remind them of anything? How does it feel to them? And that will give them ownership through participation, like they came up with some of the ideas themselves. Keep it short and warm. This is not a lecture. Remember, you're not asking for permission. You're not trying to persuade or get their buy-in. You're building understanding through your own leadership. There's a big difference. There's a lot of neuroscience to suggest that when people participate by interpreting a norm, even children, compliance rates go up dramatically. It's almost like the illusion of input creates real ownership. So even if they didn't write this, if they were part of talking about it, of printing it, of hanging it up, then they are now part owners in it and much more likely to comply with it. And the third point is consistency. I do have to warn you that this will feel hard for the first 2 or 3 weeks. You might kind of trip over your words or feel like this isn't quite us, or it feels forced or weird, or like you've borrowed it from someone else. You might forget about it altogether. But the only way that we make a new habit, that we stop just repeating ourselves or yelling or punishing or being reactive, and rather start to embody our values and get clear on our rules, is through practice. Practice makes progress. And your children will probably test it. They'll probably push back. They might be sarcastic or cynical about it or ignore it altogether. That's what children do when the walls become more firm and clear. These walls are suddenly appearing and your children need to test if they're really there, if they can really rely on them. But don't mistake the testing for failure, like it's not working. The testing is actually the proof that the walls are there, so keep going. But just remember not to cave. Hold your ground. If your rule is that we all work together to run this home and your children are toddling off to play when it's time to clear the table, you're going to guide them back and follow through with your rule. Hey, we all contribute to this family. We all run this home together. Here's your plate. You're going to make sure that the rule actually means something in real life consistently day after day, so that it starts to become a catchphrase that you can just say and they understand what they're physically meant to do with that rule. If we say we treat everyone with respect and make them redo a time that they are talking sarcastically or back talking or rolling their eyes, they'll start to learn that those things are not respectful. And we do talk with respect, so you have to repeat those, you have to try again, and you have to repair. And yes, repair is going to be a big part of this. Remember that even if you have the most amazing rules and the most amazing kids and you're the most amazing parent, you're all going to mess up sometimes. We're all going to sometimes treat each other badly, not contribute, not have a day of growth, or not really contribute to our surroundings, for example. And that's okay. These are mistakes and messiness that we all have to live with. And it's okay to just keep coming back. That's part of consistency, is that even when we fall off the horse, we get back on it and try again. So now you have a beautiful foundation, 5 sentences that you can stand behind, 5 rules that you can fall back on. But remember, building a foundation is not enough for building a house. It's just the very beginning. Your entire family culture has so many more dimensions than just 5 key rules. How do you run a family meeting? How do you make key decisions? How do you do birthdays or bedtimes or weekends or vacations? Are you celebrating rites of passage? How are you going to ensure teamwork and bonding? How are you coaching your children? How are you building a great sense of friendship and kinship and the village around you? How are you going to handle influences like screen time and video games and social media? How do you keep your marriage strong while raising your kids? How do you build an open home with hostess energy without exhausting yourself? And how do you maintain all this when life gets hard? When we get the call about the diagnosis or the financial downturn or live through turmoil? These are not small questions. They're the kind of questions that determine what kind of home your children grow up in and what kind of adults they become. In other words, what's your family culture? This week was the foundation, but what if we built the whole house? That is what the High Fam Studio is. It's not more rules, it's not just more content for you to consume and binge. It's a complete framework for building a family culture, intentionally, joyfully, and sustainably. We've been running the studio for many years, and we have finessed it to become the most succinct, powerful, action-oriented, and life-changing curriculum that exists for building family culture. There are 12 elements to your family culture, and every single month we will map one of them out. I'll give you the coaching, the community, the pragmatic steps that you need to take in order to ensure that your family culture is exactly as you wish it to be, and that you're raising your children with the values you believe in, and that you yourself are the parent that you most want to become. None of us are perfect in the studio, but I will say it is the warmest, most lovely corner of the internet, with thousands of like-minded parents from very diverse walks of life and all over the globe. We may be very different in family size, in our religion, in our lifestyle, but we all share one thing. We are all there to build a strong family culture. And here's the thing, your family has a culture, whether you're intentional about it or not. Just like you had a foundation, whether you spoke it out or not. And if you don't craft the culture, if you don't make it explicit, if you don't intentionally do the traditions or the rituals or the rites of passage or the words and the conversations and the games and all of the things that you want to do, then you'll create a vacuum. Children seek belonging. They seek structure. They seek a set of values. And if you don't provide it for them, then culture out there will gladly do it for you. If you don't give them a family culture, TikTok will. If you don't create a sense of belonging and identity, then the Kardashians will happily do it. The point is that somewhere or another, your children are going to be transmitted with values. They're going to be inculcated with a lifestyle. They're going to have a worldview shared with them, and it's going to shape them and mold them into the adults they'll be in the future. I want to offer you the chance to make sure that that is you, that you are the one raising your children, not the algorithm. I've been doing this in my own family for 15 years, and I've been coaching others for over a decade on how to create a strong family culture. We blend the best of ancient wisdom, common sense, and modern scientific research to bring you the bottom line. So you don't have to keep chasing your tail, reading all of the mommy blogs, reading all the books, listening to the podcasts, saving all the pins. You can just let all that go. You can unsubscribe. You can get off social media altogether, because we have the most incredible community complete with the coaching and all of the steps that you need in order to hold yourself accountable to your highest vision for your family. You've spent this past week proving something to yourself, that when you get clear, things really shift. The studio is where you stay clear. It's where you keep building from here on the momentum you've already begun. And it's where you don't do this alone, because we all know it takes a village to raise a child, and none of us can do it alone. Doors are open now, but they only open once a year. Just think where you could be a year from now if you keep the momentum going. And just think what happens if you don't join and if you just fall back into old habits. Come and build the house. Come and build your family culture with us. I want to say something before I go. Whether you choose to join the studio or not, I'm so grateful and proud that you are here. I'm humbled that you've chosen to go on this journey with me, and I really hope you have found something meaningful, life-changing, and some serious aha moments and truth bombs in this reset challenge. Listen, you showed up for a whole week, every day. You did the homework, you listened, you made the changes. I hope you're feeling lighter, clear, confident, and calm, and ready to lead your family into whatever is next. I would be honored to be part of your parenting journey, but either way, I have zero doubts that you are doing fantastically. You gave yourself permission to lead your family, and that's what your children need most from you in the world. That is not nothing, that is everything. Grandma Marge would be proud, and so am I. Now, if you have any questions for me whatsoever, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my very best to answer each and every one of them. Now, keep on living that high fam life, and I'll see you in the studio.